Hey guys, it's Bradley Stalder here with Player Profiler, and I'm excited to be talking Thursday night football with you yet again. Last week was a smashing success to kick off the tailgate, right? We drank beer, we talked about how Kadarius Toney was not going to score us any fantasy points, and look, he didn't score any fantasy points. We also talked about how we were a little trepidatious about Sky Moore. We wanted to see a little bit more of Sky Moore. That didn't happen. We saw less. Say less, King. Say less. Anyways, yeah, Sky Moore disappointed last week. Travis Kelce was out. There was a lot of news and a lot of takeaways from the Thursday game last week, but we are here to prepare. We're here to talk start sits. So if you are making a start sit decision, I'm here to talk with you about it to get it started. Put them in the chat. While you're putting them in the chat, I want you to pay attention to our injury, a promo from Matt Kelly about our injury finder app.
Hey, you're in your fantasy draft and someone says, hey, that guy's injury prone. I don't want him. And you're like, I don't know. I don't think you can predict injuries. Well, guess what? Now you can. Injury proneness is real. At Player Profiler, we have the data on these players, and it's all in the Injury Finder app. Their injury track record back through time, exactly where they were injured, how severe it is. We look at the BMI data, and we crunch it all together, and we give you probabilities that a player will miss multiple games this NFL season, as well as the complete database of NFL injuries and the ability to compare two players and look at their injury track record. The Injury Finder is powerful, and it's only $5. If it's worth it to have that peace of mind when you're drafting, go get it.
It's not just great for drafting, it's also great for making your start sit decisions. Is this player going to get injured during the game? What is their injury history? Are they recently coming off of an injury? The Injury Finder app is phenomenal. So I encourage you guys, download the app. It's on Apple, it's on Google. $5 only. That's great. And you get the whole database. It is totally worth it. Okay. Yeah, we're excited for what's going to happen in week number 2. Remember, in week number 1, it was the second highest projected game total, the Chiefs versus the Lions. Now we're looking at week 2, and this week is also the second highest projected game total. The over-under for this game between the Minnesota Vikings and Philadelphia Eagles is 49 points. The Philadelphia Eagles, however, are favored by 6 going into this game. So we do expect a little bit of a slugfest. We expect points scored, but there's also a couple narratives that are circling around this Minnesota-Philadelphia game. One of those narratives is that Kirk Cousins can't play in prime time, right? Well, Kirk Cousins can't play in prime time. And look, there might be data to suggest that these players aren't as well prepared, but maybe it's that in some of those primetime games, it's a Thursday game that's a quick turnaround. And that's why you kind of have to play a little bit on the unders in these games and temper expectations. Maybe there's a couple breakout stars and a couple breakout performances. But by and large, you have to understand the context of the season. Imagine that you are the team managers of these NFL franchises. And you're thinking to yourself, you're the coaches, you're the offensive coordinators. Like, how are you preparing for this game? And for those who have been around the NFL for a while and known how teams operate, typically what teams will do if they have a game on Sunday and then a Thursday game, right? They will do walkthroughs Monday, Tuesday. Maybe they'll have one off day, but mostly just walkthroughs, stretches, game film. Like, there's not a lot of practicing that happens, and there's not a large time or a significant amount of time to change your game plan. And so there's a question about or a comment, Mr. Grapefruit. Thanks for tuning in, Mr. Grapefruit. I think Addison, Hawkinson, Devonta, and DeAndre Swift all have big games tonight. My concern with Addison isn't his talent. My concern with Addison isn't even that he's not a producer. He produced last game, right? Addison had 2 red zone targets. He put up double-digit fantasy points, first-round pedigree. There are pluses to Addison for sure, which is why he's a possible flex play. But I think there is a range of outcomes where Addison can fail. I think there's a range of outcomes for Addison to fail because he only played 2/3 of the snaps relative to the other starters. That is KJ Osborne and Justin Jefferson last week. So not getting full complement of snaps, and on a team that probably doesn't have a change in game plan from week 1 to a short week 2, I don't know if we can expect necessarily a breakout. Will he have a fine game? I think he'll be okay, but a big game, I'm skeptical of just Jordan Addison of Jordan Addison getting a big explosive game against a Philadelphia defense that, the New England Patriots played admirably against them, but we will see if Kirk Cousins can come out and play. Okay, Hawkinson, I think is the big play. If you're obviously playing Justin Jefferson, but Hawkinson. Someone asked me in the comments, could I start Hawkinson as even a flex play? And I think that's a possibility. I think Hawkinson would be a very interesting flex play. So, yeah, that is. I think is going to be a really interesting call, and especially Mr. Grapefruit says he thinks Jefferson's going to have a down game. Look, Jefferson last year. Let's talk about Justin Jefferson for a second because it's fun. Let's talk about our studs. Justin Jefferson. Hey, y'all, if you haven't gone on to playerprofiler.com, like there's some new additions to the site. It's really, really cool. You can search a player's name and then you can go to news and media and you can see that, whoa, like there's news about players now that our writing staff has been doing, and they've been doing a phenomenal job of adding news to these player profile pages. But if we look at Justin Jefferson, what he did last year against Darius Slay, because Darius Slay was the one was the cornerback lining up last year against Justin Jefferson. Slay, 6 receptions, 48 receiving yards, 1 red zone target, but 12 total targets. So his target rate did not go down, and 112 air yards. So it's a matter of, did he convert? Because we look at week 1 of 2022. In week 1, he had the same number. He had fewer targets. This is Justin Jefferson. Had 1 fewer target. He had 11 targets, 9 receptions, 184 yards, 112 air yards, was the wide receiver 1 overall that week. Fast forward to week 2, kind of disappoints. Only 11 fantasy points, 4.8 of 48 receiving yards, 6 receptions, but 112 air yards yet again. So it wasn't conversion for Justin Jefferson. It just didn't happen against Darius Slay. Though I wonder if there is an adjustment that the Minnesota Vikings make, knowing that Slay is going to probably be playing a lot on Justin Jefferson. But if he doesn't play on Jefferson, if in fact Jefferson moves around and Slay does not shadow him, and Slay moves onto Jordan Addison, that could be dangerous for the floor for Jordan Addison. So I have, I don't know, I'd still take Tyler Lockett over Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin over Jordan Addison. So that's kind of like where I'm ranking him right now. Okay. Yeah. If you have start sit questions, just throw them in the chat. And if they're related to our Thursday night tailgate, I'll do my best to answer them, talk them through, et cetera, et cetera. So appreciate all y'all doing that. Chandler breakout game. Oh, Chandler breakout game incoming. Woo. Okay. Yeah. Chandler did not play very well in week 1. I mean, if we look at what he did in week 1, let me pull up his game stats here. Rushing report for Minnesota Vikings. Ty Chandler did not do much, if I recall correctly. Yeah, he only had 3 attempts. He had 0 yards, and yeah, it was pretty bad. 1 reception. I don't know if a breakout is necessarily going to be the play here. Okay, it's an outside chance. Anything can happen. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, I'm not looking to start Ty Chandler tonight. let's not get wild. If anything, like I'm a Dwayne McBride guy. I don't think they activated him to the 53 man, but y'all know my reputation. I love Dwayne McBride. Yeah. Okay. Question is Swift, Javonte Williams, or Breece Hall. Pick 2. Javonte Williams and Breece Hall. I'm also very low on DeAndre Swift. Swift had 1 carry in the previous game and went for 3 yards, 2 yards after contact. Not great. Not great for DeAndre Swift. And Swift only had 2 carries in the preseason. So there haven't been indicators to us that the Philadelphia Eagles want to use DeAndre Swift. I mean, sure, they like deactivated Rashad Penny, but I wonder if that was just a hierarchy sort of deal, And so Rashad Penny is active for this game. And if I'm taking shots on a running back, I don't feel confident about one running back or the other, but if I'm have to pick between Philadelphia running backs, I think it's going to be your Rashad Penny, just more natural runner, more efficient runner recently. So I think that Rashad Penny is going to get the bulk of the carries. But as I said, not a confident take, just one that I'm most likely to go with. Like if I'm doing rankings, which after this live stream at 8:00, I'm going to hop on, do some quick adjustments for the rankings. Cheers, everyone. Cheers. If you got a beer, cheers, everyone. And if I'm doing rankings, I'm ranking Rashad Penny over DeAndre Swift for week 2. And yes, so Javonte Williams and Breece Hall to answer that one. Swift or Walker? Easily Kenneth Walker. Easily Kenneth Walker. We like Kenneth Walker. I don't know why the brand is so off. I don't know. I don't know what's going to be a good fit for the brand. Colors. It's not working out. Oh, well. Let's see here. All right, we can go back with that. That's fine. Okay. Excellent. So, yeah, it's easily Kenneth Walker. Walker led the Seahawks in carries. He had 4 receptions in that game. Yeah, give me all the Ken Walker. He looked the part. It's clear that the Seattle Seahawks wanted to make him be the focal point of the offense. Zach Charbonnet, meh. Okay. To be fair, neither did Madison. Yeah, Madison was garbage. Like both running backs were bad. It just means that there's no reason, though, for Ty Chandler to overtake Madison. He hasn't been given any reason. Like if Chandler was putting up interesting efficiency metrics and Madison would put up what he did, 11 for 34, then that's not going to work out, right? So, yeah, Madison is a low-end running back too. We saw what the floor was in this game in week 1. And the Minnesota Vikings, I've been preaching this all offseason. There were 2 scary points about Alexander Madison. One was that he's just not talented. He's just not a good running back. Under 4 yards a carry each of the last 2 seasons. And he's continued that on a micro scale for week 1, 3.1 yards per carry. And then the second reason is a macro view. So we look micro view, macro view. Macro view is that the Vikings are one of the pass heaviest teams in the NFL. And if they're pass heavy, that means they're not run heavy, which means they're not giving Madison touches or feeding Madison touches. And in a game that they're not favored, as I said, the Minnesota Vikings are projected to be 6-point underdogs in this game. We don't think that Alexander Madison is going to be efficiently used in the passing game or getting a lot of volume on the ground. That goal line work is probably going to be more passing than anything. Like, what would you rather do if you're at the goal line? Are you going to hand the ball off to Alexander Madison, or are you going to look for Jefferson, Hawkinson, Jordan Addison? Are you going to give it to 3 better offensive players than Alexander Madison? Yes, of course. Of course you're going to do that. That's what you're going to do. You're going to give the ball to or try to get the ball to some of the most efficient players on your team. That's why we had to be skeptical of Alexander Madison, even in the 6th round of most FFPC drafts. Okay. Ja Webb 1223, have a beer. Yeah, cheers. This is a tailgate, guys. Gals, anyone who is drinking beer, we can have a beer. We'll talk for about another 15 minutes or so about whatever start sits have to do with tonight's game, and then we're just having a good time. We're enjoying. This is one of my favorite things to do, is just talk fantasy football, have some beer, discuss ranges of outcomes, and whether or not these players are going to hit. So this is a great time. Thanks, guys. If you want to put your questions in the chat or your start sits, I know this is a popular time. My most popular question so far to be asked in start sit is, should I start Jordan Addison? And it just depends on who you have, frankly. It just depends on who you have. Like, you're going to have to start Jordan Addison. I was asked Jordan Addison or Sky Moore. Obviously Jordan Addison, not Sky Moore. Zay Flowers or Jordan Addison. You're starting Zay Flowers, even with Mark Andrews expected back. Beer of choice, Oktoberfest. I mean, we're in September. We drink Oktoberfest for a month and a half, right? Almost 2 months. And then it's Christmas ale, guys. Once we get into November and December. Okay. There we go. Brian Robinson or DeAndre Swift. We're going Brian Robinson. Much, much safer play. Much safer play. Gonna get the volume. Not sure if Swift will get the volume. If Swift gets the volume, like, the thing is when we're talking about ranges of outcomes, Swift's is so, like, he can access elite ceiling, but he's probably gonna bust for us. Whereas Brian Robinson is probably not going to get any top 5 weeks for us. That's not within his range of outcomes. DeAndre Swift has top 5 weeks in his range of outcomes. Problem is, Brian Robinson most likely isn't going to bust because he's consistently getting the volume that he needs to sustain to be a flex play for you. So he's not going to bust too badly. And he even got the receiving touchdown in the last game. Down bad in running back, Daniel. Swift or Justice Hill? We're going to go with DeAndre Swift. This is kind of a line of demarcation for me. Yeah, we'll go DeAndre Swift. Justice Hill has not proven that he's actually good at the game of football. Hunter Henry had his way. Hawkinson's going to triple. I love the Hawkinson hype. I am in on a Hawkinson playing very well. I think we should rank him as the tight end 1 for this week. So let's do that. Who would you start Puka over? Small list. I would need some examples, but you're not starting him over like Brandon Ayuk. You're not starting him over Zay Flowers. You're not starting him over Jahan Dotson. But I mean, some players are trying to start. This is where Jordan Addison versus Puka Nacua comes up. And I think you start Jordan Addison. Over Puka Nacua because of the matchup. Puka played very well in his first game. But in week 2, the San Francisco 49ers face off against the Rams. And that is usually not very good to the Rams. Usually the 49ers are able to have their way in defense. So give me... But like Puka Nacua easily over Van Jefferson, right? Puka Nacua is the Rams receiving option that you want. The problem is the matchup. We could see Stafford having a tough week as well. The 49ers are just always good at shutting down some of the best options on defense. And then their offense just takes it to them, especially in a divisional matchup. I think Puka is very good, but I think more like 6 receptions for 60 yards and on 8 targets is going to be more likely. than repeating 100 yards. So we do need to temper expectations. Should I play Swift over Najee? Yeah, I think you're starting Najee. I think he's got a safer floor. Swift or Addison? We're starting Addison. Hype Bean. Puka or Pickens? That's a good one. And you'd think to yourself, oh, the 49ers are a tough defense. Oh, look out. But Pittsburgh Steelers face off against the Cleveland Browns. And I don't know if you remember this, but the Browns annihilated the Bengals. The defense was really good. There were 3 reasons why Joe Burrow failed on Sunday. One was because of the calf injury, right? And the ramifications of that. It was clear that Joe Burrow was not sharp because he missed the preseason due to the calf injury. Second reason is because of the weather. It was raining and Joe Burrow just, the wide receivers couldn't come down with some of the balls. Like T. Higgins lost a couple of the balls. It was clear that he wasn't able to push the ball down the field like he wanted to with the confidence that he's used to. So Joe Burrow couldn't do that. And third is the Cleveland defense played their butts off. And Myles Garrett was sacking Burrow often. The DBs were playing the wide receivers really tough. And I think that that's going to stay the same here. So give me Puka Nacua over George Pickens, even with Deontay Johnson out, because Allen Robinson and Pat Freiermuth are going to be just fine. Puka Nacua and who else? Tyler Higbee, Kyron Williams. It's going to be Puka Nacua and Tyler Higbee leading the passing game for the LA Rams. So give me Puka Nacua over George Pickens this week. I think that's a good line of demarcation. Puka or GW, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson right now is in a lot of trouble. I don't know if you realize this, but Garrett Wilson played 9 games with Zach Wilson last year, and Zach Wilson was the worst PFF graded quarterback in those 9 games among qualified quarterbacks. Zach Wilson had a 54% completion percentage. He had the highest turnover worthy play rate among all qualified quarterbacks and a 6 to 7 touchdown to interception ratio. And then Garrett Wilson during that time. So Zach Wilson was atrocious, arguably the worst quarterback in the league during that span of 9 games. Garrett Wilson was 31st in receiving yards, 32nd in receptions, 30th in yards per route run during that 9-game span. 0 touchdowns. 0 touchdowns for Garrett Wilson. So yeah, it's mid wide receiver 3. And I think Puka's in about that same spot, but we like the Garrett Wilson talent better. So give me Garrett Wilson. We're going to start Garrett Wilson over Puka Nacua. I think that's also a good line of demarcation for us, given the significant and serious downgrade of Zach Wilson. Keontae Ingram or Christian Kirk? We're going to go Christian Kirk. Puka did not play due to an oblique injury. That's news to me, Dadalorian. On Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter at FFStalder. Dadalorian, if you can send me a Twitter message about that, I'd like to take a look at that for sure. Gus Edwards or Alexander Madison? We're going with Alexander Madison because he's gonna get 13 of the 16 is going to get 75% of the carries. Gus Edwards isn't going to get that. He's lucky if he's going to get 50% of the carries. It's going to be around 50. And if there's goal line work to be had, Madison's most likely the goal line back. Gus Edwards, we just saw Justice Hill vulture 2 touchdowns. But also it's Lamar Jackson. It's also Lamar Jackson at the goal line. So give me instead Alexander Madison over Gus Edwards. That's what you're doing this week. Yeah, Garrett Wilson's going against the Dallas D, but he's just so good. He's so talented. And that mid wide receiver 3 rating was inclusive of some tough matchups that Garrett Wilson had. So still give me Garrett Wilson over Puka Nacua, because Nacua also has a really tough defense, the San Francisco 49ers. So when it's close enough like that, I'm giving the tiebreaker to the significantly more talented Garrett Wilson. Look, I love Puka Nacua. There are a lot of fantasy analysts who are putting on Twitter, hey, I didn't see any Puka tweets from you, ever since the waiver wire or week 1 or the Cooper Kupp injury. No, that's not true for me. You can search my Twitter. I tweeted about Puka Nacua back in March. I think it's March 23rd. I was telling you guys. I was telling everybody. So Puka Nacua was a guy that was an easy smash. Even though without he didn't have great athleticism, but he was still crushing in spite of the athleticism or lack thereof. So there we go. Okay. Give me Garrett Wilson, but I have loved Puka Nacua at value for a long time. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. I'm not seeing the Puka Nacua injury. I don't know if that's real. I don't know if that's real there. Thanks, Ja Webb. Kyron Williams or Christian Kirk? We're going Kyron Williams. My concern with Christian Kirk is that he's getting pulled off for 2 wide receiver sets. It's just Calvin Ridley and it's just Zay Jones and 2 wide receiver sets. When Christian Kirk is out there, it's usually also Dallas Goedert who plays sometimes in the slot. So you got 2 slot guys, and then you got the outside wide receivers. This is a bad situation for Christian Kirk. People in the offseason were arguing with me, and I was like, they were like, oh, Christian Kirk is a great value. And I was like, yeah, he probably, is an interesting arbitrage play on Calvin Ridley, but I still want to draft a lot of Calvin Ridley. And so I drafted a lot of Calvin Ridley, and Ridley was, 15, 17% rostered guy in best ball for me. And Christian Kirk, I was sprinkling in here or there, but we found out very quickly Christian Kirk is not arbitrage Calvin. Christian Kirk is not arbitrage Calvin Ridley. Going Olave over Puka. Yeah, we go. The Puka hype is ridiculous. This is great. I'm so here for fantasy YouTube and fantasy Twitter and all of that. Fantastic. Okay, cool. Let's see here. Adam Schefter just tweeted out that Puka Nacua did not practice due to an oblique injury. That is 7 minutes ago. Wow. This is copy link. Let's put this in the YouTube chat. We're going to wrap up the news here. I appreciate all of you jumping in. I'm going to wrap up the show here in just a little bit. Let me go rapid fire for the questions that we have of start sit here. Yeah, Puka injury just came through. Did not practice. Losing Nacua would be disastrous. Wow. Okay. Oh, we leave the live stream with this, the Puka Nacua news that Puka did not practice today due to an injury. Yeah, Love Star saying that Kyron Williams all in. Yeah, Puka doesn't play. It's Higbee plus Kyron Williams. Oh my gosh, this is so wild. This is phenomenal. Tutu stocks. Yeah, give me some Tutu Atwell. There we go. 118 receiving yards for Tutu Atwell in week 1's game. Tutu is going to be very busy in week 2. Yeah, Stan Tutu. There we go. We got the Tutu stands in the chat. Woo. No, Puka, no. Look, guys, I've got to end this live stream soon because I got to update my rankings. This is wild stuff. But before I go, we've got to talk about and shout out you. If you love this content, you'll also love the Monday night tailgate, right? We'll get the beers. We'll drink some more. I'm not hosting it. We've got other hosts for the Monday night tailgate, but I'm here every Thursday. We're going to have a good time. We're going to talk some fantasy. We're going to talk start sits. We're going to drink some beer. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time, guys. This is a good thing. We're doing Thursday night tailgates. We're doing Monday night tailgates. The Injury Finder app is crushing it. And I just want to say this has been a lot of fun, guys. A lot of fun talking with you, getting to know y'all, chatting with you, breaking news about Puka Nacua. And, it's all made possible because of you guys. So shout out to y'all. I'm Bradley Stalder. You can follow me on Twitter at FFStalder. Good luck with your start sits for Thursday. Enjoy. Till next time, good luck in the fantasy football streets.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.